Welcome back to Founders in the Field, the show where we go behind the scenes with agency leaders, consultants, and creative founders to show you how they're building, failing, and staying sane in the trenches. I'm your host, Stephen Bradley, and today's guest is Jamel Langley, the Director of Accounts at Spears Group. How are you doing, Jamel?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you for jumping on. Let's dive straight in. For people who don't know your story, take us right back to the start of your journey, what made you get into the industry, and give us an overview of what your role looks like today inside Spears Group.
Definitely. Well, my journey's been really a mix of agency life and public sector work. For undergraduate, I went to the University of Florida, where I got my degree in public relations. A few years later, I then went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and got my master's in integrated marketing communications. I began my career actually working on the public service side of things, working for the governor for the state of Florida. That really introduced me into the legislative process, regulatory policy, and also strategic messaging. But with a background in communications and PR, I really want to be thrust into the industry and really gain that hands-on experience. It led me to moving to Washington, D.C., where I worked for a few different agencies, some boutique, some in-house, and some also consultant roles. I'm really focusing on technology, the startup scene, healthcare, public affairs, and also entertainment as well. I had the opportunity to do a lot of PR for different celebrities like Alex Honnold. He just came out with a movie recently about his scaling this top high hotel, as well as doing some work with the John and Lillian Miles Lewis Foundation. And then after that, I worked on some more global campaigns and national campaigns with Campari America, Spotify, and Adidas, really leading some communications for them, doing on-the-ground activations, and also just doing experiential marketing on the Campari side. That position actually led me back to Houston, Texas, that's when I got introduced with the Spears Group, and we are one of the preeminent public relations, advertising, and marketing agencies in the Gulf South. I currently lead our Houston office here in Houston. We have another office based in New Orleans as well. So really what makes the Spears Group really special is that we're really emphasizing that it's strategy first and impact always. We really have a strong belief in strong storytelling grounded in that strategy, and that people and institutions move ideas forward. Today, my role is more so about than leading every execution detail, but more so about setting the strategy, building relationships, and making sure that our work aligns with that impact. I spend a lot of time thinking about how we're going to position our team here in Houston and how we can position our clients to meet the needs of the clients and their challenges with the communications, digital marketing, advertising, or even creative services.
That's some background you've got there, Jamel. So how did you find it going from sort of the public sector with governors and then going to work for more boutique and then more that type of agency?
Very great question. Interesting. I thought I was going to go into governmental relations and lobbying, which kind of mirrors a little bit of PR in marketing as well. We're talking about different key stakeholders, talking about different entities, and really trying to represent their best interests. So that intersection was really interesting to me. But since I went to school and got my undergraduate degree in public relations, it was always of importance and of interest to me to really be in the middle of a target audience and a target public, and being able to craft key messaging and create and interesting tactics and strategies to really advance their goals forward. With that, as I used the public sector experience really to kind of put my foot in the proverbial door and really open myself up to other opportunities and serve as a launch pad that really helped to broaden my career and really open the doors for a lot of different opportunities.
Definitely, it's definitely a good way to cut your teeth. Going from universities to then more the public sector, which is like I think you said governors, that type of thing. Like
Mhm.
it definitely prepares you well for going into a transferable skill, should we say, going into the more agency and advertising. Because from what I can gather, like it's quite not brutal, but like I mean, it's quite hands on from doing the governor type of thing as opposed to them working with agencies.
Definitely. Yeah, they're both really hands-on and really when you're working with a public institution like a governor or a state representative or a politician, we're really advocating for their policies and their goals. Versus when you work with more of an agency, you get access to work with a breadth of different ideas, a lot of different agencies and different creators who have different views and goals and approaches to projects. So trying to find that great balance and to be able to still execute and make sure that strategy is first and that we're always generating strong impact is a crucial part of the process.
And when you first went to Spears Group, was you always the director of accounts, or was you in charge of strategy, or was you doing something else and then you sort of built up to that?
Actually, no, I came in as the director of account services here at Spears, and predominantly my role is a mixture of doing account management, leading public affairs, healthcare, experiential events, and also doing business development.
It's a high leverage role that you've got there. How have you found you going from different stages from all the way through from like when you started obviously university, then into the lobbying type of thing, then agency, and then now you're up sort of more of a higher role now in an agency.
Definitely. I think just, every step built on the next step, right? And then, my mother always told me from my very first position at the governor's office, she's like, use that to parlay that into something else. And so really I use those experiences and I find when I see behaviors or key traits from other leaders that I come across in my career, I put that into my toolkit and I build that. And I want to use that for my next adventure. And really, from working on from public campaigns on the government side to doing I'm working for global agencies, excuse me, to doing in-house PR as I did for Children's National Hospital. I really found what's the nice kind of mix and balance that I like. And us being a small but mighty agency, we have about between 20 employees at our agency, and we're growing our Houston office too at a rapid pace. I think that's a nice balance for me because I feel like I'm able to really have impactful and measurable impact on the work that we're working on, but then also able to help to nurture and grow the next generation, really, of communicators from diverse backgrounds from all over the world. I mean, we have people from our firm from South America, from South Africa, from all over the world and all over parts of America to really make sure that we can provide unique perspectives to create impactful work for our clients. So to me, that was the best fit for my career and my next step.
Oh, definitely. You like you say, you've built a toolkit, an arsenal there from all the
Mhm.
different roles that you've worked in and built yourself up. But what um is the clients that Spears Group serve? Do they serve like a specific niche, or is it quite broad?
Yeah, it's really quite broad. We're a full service marketing agency, so we do marketing, advertising, creative services, paid media, the whole gambit. So primarily, we work in the financial services space. We work in the healthcare space as well. Public affairs, doing a lot of public affairs projects here in Houston, and also with Houston being the energy capital of the world, we're in that oil and gas energy space as well. We do a lot of education work, and then also we have a separate side of the business too that it does a lot of event activations and festivals. The world's largest and one of the country's largest food festivals that's hosted in New Orleans every February, first or second week of October, called the National Fried Chicken Festival. The past couple of years, it's generated over 100,000 visitors. We have it every year, and next year is going to be our 10th annual one. So we do that. We've had this other upcoming festival in March called Boils, Brews, and Bubbles. It's the fusion of champagne and crawfish and family and bringing people together. And really, we want to emphasize about creating events that bring people together to bring new experiences that are generally friendly, always involve some type of artistic, musical action performances, and always bringing food together as well. People love to eat. They love to kind of congregate around those common themes. So those are really where we like to hone in on. And of course, we're broadening and expanding our impact with our move here to the Houston region area. And so we're looking to build new business opportunities around South Texas and around the Gulf South.
No, it's definitely a multi-pronged approach, and I have to say that the fried chicken event sounds absolutely wonderful.
Definitely, definitely. Definitely come and check it out. Next October, we'd
Yeah,
love to have you.
no, definitely. So now we've got a bit of a background about you and Spears Group. What are the biggest trends that you're seeing inside the market today?
There's so many trends, I mean, just really now, AI is the biggest thing, right? It's with Chat GPT, with Gemini, with Gamma, there's all these different technologies. So really just leaning into this advent. I think people want to run away from AI and think that it's taking jobs, but our point of view here at the Spears Group is that we really want to lean into technology and these evolutions that are going to make our jobs more impactful and also help to deliver measurable results for our clients. Really, one trend too is really just a blending of all the communication disciplines too. So we have PR, digital marketing, paid media, and content. They can't operate in silos anymore. So really, clients really want to have integrated strategies that show measurable results There's a growing demand for authenticity and cultural fluency. So we need to make sure that we're really coming through with our communications, with our tactics, and with our strategies. Audiences can really spot these performance messaging so quickly, and they can really flag it out as being not authentic. So brands and institutions really need to lead with purpose and follow through with their actions.
Definitely. So when you said you're using, you're looking into AI, you're using AI, but obviously you're worried about also getting the messaging right, and people can obviously spot that out. So what parts of the business are you sort of using AI in, or you leaning more towards?
Definitely. I never put a client's information directly into AI because one, that's usually proprietary information. And two, the AI, that the information that it spits back is not always 100% accurate. So I love to really use it for just thought building ideas. So we can, if we're starting really from a ground up strategy where we may not have that much background information on before, we engage with the client in the research and discovery process, using that AI to kind of get a baseline at the very, very baseline to understand what the key challenges are, what are some trends that they're seeing, and really to address how we can create really useful tactics and strategies to address those gaps from a communications and marketing perspective. From there, we just refine it even further, take that usually back to the client after we refine those initial ideas and do some more secondary, primary research on our end. But it's a great starter to kind of open the door out and kind of get your ideas going. They say sometimes the most intimidating thing is a blank white screen. So putting some ideas there, filling up that page with ideas, and then whittling it down is sometimes the best approach.
No, definitely. I feel like that sort of way of using it and also is a really great way to use it, and as well, obviously for the sort of operation side of it, doing sort of like the grunt work of the back end operations and things like that is
Mhm.
another good like entryway. But definitely, I think you're right from a creative standpoint. Just getting rid of blank page syndrome, it helps so much.
Significantly.
So, Jamal, what is working well, and where do you still feel slight friction inside Spears Group?
Yeah, I think, what's really working well is our ability to tell complex stories in a way that still feels human and relevant. Making sure that we're creating that human element within all our communications and our touch points is really important. Just going back to that AI. AI takes that human element away, setting that baseline, but finding creative ways to insert that human element back into our work and our creative work is really important. Our team overall is strong. We're nimble and we're really trusted by our clients to lead in moments that really matter. Where we feel slight friction, many growing agencies, is really capacity and scale. As demand is going to increase, and we're currently facing balancing growth with maintaining quality and also instilling our culture here at the firm. It's a great problem to have, but it really requires intentional systems and plannings to be in place.
Definitely having, I think, like you said, a lot of agencies are faced to that. Do you mean wanting to scale, but also wanting to keep quality, at the standard where they want to keep it at. Do you know what I mean? And definitely when you have a lean, should we say, a lean company, and then that becomes even more imperative because you want to keep your standards really, really high. But also, there's obviously the not the problem, but the reason why you want to scale also.
Definitely.
So, Jamal, walk me through your client acquisition process or Spears Group client acquisition process. How are they acquiring clients?
Definitely. We acquire clients through sometimes typical RFP requests, responding to a competitive bidding process where we then are awarded a contract. But really, client acquisition today is heavily, heavily relationship driven. So from referrals, reputations, results, they still matter more than anything. We've seen that a success really is leading with our thought leadership. So sharing insights before we even pitch an idea. Sometimes we may see a company or a brand that it has an issue that they've not even thought about. So we may pitch that idea to be a solution for that problem. The challenge is that procurement cycles really are no longer, and especially in the public sector and institutional work, really patient. So like you need to be consistent, you need to be patient within that process and really be strategic about identifying the key prospects to build into your funnel.
And so, would you say it's mainly sort of referral and relationship built acquisition sort of funnel that you have?
I would say yes, and also responding back to competitive bids as well.
And are you finding that there's ebbs and flows in different months when you haven't using this sort of acquisition funnel?
Yeah, I mean, it's always yes. Short answer is yes. It does ebbs and flow a little bit. The beginning of the year, typically budgets tend to become refreshed. Some people work on different budget cycles, so I think that generally having a strong funnel and prospect list is always key, and making sure that it maintains at a certain level, whether that's a X amount of people within the prospect funnel or a value amount budget-based funnel formula. Just making sure that it's always maxed out and refreshed and reviewed daily, weekly, monthly, whatever your metrics work for, to make sure that your business goals are met, and that it also aligns with your forecasting for the rest of the year and the years forthcoming.
And you said before about sort of like content marketing, being able to put out content that, authority built content that can actually might speak to businesses before they've even realized they probably got the problem. Is that something that you're going to lean more into?
Absolutely. Whether it's content marketing, that stuff that we actually create in-house with our creative team and then use that for thought leadership within our own company. But it could be also as simple as, you're driving on the highway or you see a commercial about a problem or an event that you recently had activated on or addressed, that we can then help them do a nuanced solution for that or something similar to what we've done for another client. And so it's really just being a avid consumer of the news, really being aware of your situational awareness, knowing what's going on around you, whether that's with your business colleagues, whether that's happening with people that you meet at a happy hour, or even within your family as well. Just always being attuned and always be selling.
No, definitely. I feel like it's also good for branding yourself as well by putting out this type of content and solving problems for people in, theoretical sort of instance when you're putting this out there. So, saying this is what cause and effect of this problem also
Mhm.
builds the brand really well as well.
Exactly.
So Jamal, where do you want to be in the next 12 to 18 months in terms of business?
Definitely. Over the next 12 to 18 months, I think our main focus is going to be on sustainable growth. So what does that really mean? It means expanding into new markets, which we've done here in Houston, from New Orleans to now making Houston going to be our new center of operations as well. Deepening our relationship with existing clients. It's always a great way to generate new business. It's not always going out to find a new client, but it's how can we grow our services with an existing client? And so that's really by deepening those relationships with those existing clients, and then really just strengthening our internal infrastructure. Creating new policies, new processes for efficiency, for transparency and visibility is really helpful as we're trying to grow and scale. We really want to continue also attracting top talent. Houston has tons of schools. I went to the University of Florida undergrad. I went to Georgetown University for graduate school. So really making sure that we're tapping into these networks so that we can tap the best talent for what we want to build here. And then really building these systems that really allow us to scale without losing what makes Spears Group unique and special.
No, definitely. I think, using being able to get talent from especially sort of like local universities and things like that is definitely, something that every business that's looking to grow should definitely be keeping on top of. What kind of system, and especially going into 2026, I feel like it's going to become more and more apparent that businesses who don't systemize things. So what are you
Mhm.
really looking to systemize in the business?
Well, just really like transparency and accessibility of information, right? So,
Right.
having a really well functioning CRM system, that's a customer relationship management tool, to be
Mhm.
able to stay in touch with existing partners, vendors, prospects, or even people that we just meet within the agency is really important. In addition to having a strong CRM system, having just a way that we can share and share files. I think Google is great, having a shared drive that has all the client information on it, client narratives, budgets, histories, notes, just everything streamlined in one place. That's super important when you're onboarding new people and new staff so that they don't need to search around for where information lives. It can all be housed in one place and then be easily transferred over to the next person. That's the easiest thing. And then all open communication. As communicators, we don't work in silos. So having that ease of communication, talking within Slack, picking up the phone, sending emails, doing quick text groups within clients and internal teams. Whatever we can do to break down those silos and increase communication across all platforms is going to be the best way we can stay successful in the future.
Definitely. And is Spears Group looking to sort of automate some of the, so like, for example, like client reporting and things like that for, to free up more time for the employees can focus on more strategy and things like that?
Yeah, I think, it's really like I was saying earlier, it's about that human element. So I think automating some of those tasks take that human element away. We want to make sure that clients just not always see us as a client, vendor relationship, but we're actually thought partners and we're actually really sometimes hand holding clients new ideas and broaching new ideas and strategies to them that they may have never been exposed to before. So
Yes.
some of those tasks are actually really instrumental and important for what we want to do for our long range goals. So really making sure that we have well equipped, educated people on our staff that have strong critical thinking skills to be able to bridge some of those gaps is probably the biggest investment, what we really want to drill down into.
Okay, definitely. So Jamal, my last question is, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing in your business, in the business, what would it be and why?
Really, it would be time. And I know we have 24 hours in a day and everyone has 24 hours in a day, but sometimes you wish you could have 26 or 28. And really, it's to have more strategic thinking. As a member of this team and working as the director of account services, we often get pulled into, a lot of day-to-day decisions. And while that's necessary, it's really having time in that protected space to really think about long term. Because when you have that long term thinking, that's where real transformation happens. So, really fixing that, if I could just add sometimes a couple more hours to my day, would allow me to move even more faster, more smarter, and be more efficient.
And so I think a lot of people will resonate with what you've just said there, Jamal. So if some of my viewers and listeners wanted to reach out, they might have businesses that they could benefit from Spears Group's expertise. Where would be the best place to reach out?
Definitely, yes. Please feel free to email me directly or connect with me on LinkedIn. Jamel Langley, Jamel, last name Langley, Langley. And then also feel free to send me an email, jamel@thespearsgroup.com. Another great place to find some information is to check out our website. Look for thespearsgroup.com as well. We have a lot of great social media content out there about our upcoming festivals and events and client activations. And we'd love to talk to you and learn more about how we can help and support you with your communications goals. So please feel free to reach out. We're happy to chat.
Well, there you go, everybody. Well, Jamal, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed our chat today. I've really enjoyed learning more about you and about Spears Group. And for everybody that's watching and listening, please can you like, comment, subscribe, send to a friend, and reach out to Jamal or Spears Group if you're looking to implement their services or just to talk about how they can help you. So everybody, I'll see you next week. Thank you,
Thank you,
Jamal.
Stephen, so much. Thank you.